House GOP lawmakers interrupted debt ceiling negotiations to focus on what really matters and what they do well, fundraising. Now, what were they fundraising for? Well, it was for the National Republican Congressional Committee, so they were fundraising for themselves. And I love the fact that they interrupted the difficult legislative job that they do in order to engage in this fundraising. So this made headlines because of the auction associated with this fundraising effort. So the fundraising auction of McCarthy's used cherry lip balm ended with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene placing a winning $100,000 bid as confirmed by her spokesperson. But guys, don't think that she did that automatically, immediately, just to suck up to Kevin McCarthy. She did it after Kevin McCarthy was willing to sweeten the deal a little bit. She only began bidding after the California Republican chose to sweeten the deal. He agreed to attend a dinner with the winner and whichever donors and supporters they planned to bring along. So here is a photo of Marjorie Greene celebrating, a little celebratory photo with the used chapstick that Kevin McCarthy had used. Now that cash, by the way, is headed to the House GOP campaign arm. The fundraiser during Tuesday morning's closed-door GOP conference meeting lasted about 15 minutes, with first-term Representative Aaron Bean leading the auction. After all, it was his campaign's branded chapstick up for bids. So I am amused by this, but like this is what they do all the time.
Yeah. So I'm going to have an opinion here that's not altogether too popular with mainstream Democrats.
We got a trend going today,
yeah,
folks.
I know, right? So look, is it absurd to buy the used chapstick at an auction for $100,000? Of course it is, but everybody knows that. But everybody also knows it's not about the chapstick, right? She's basically giving that to the House GOP campaign committee, right? And by the way, all of the congressmen have to chip in to that campaign committee. In this case, though, they're trying to get them to chip in more. Why can Marjorie Taylor Greene afford that? Because she has tons of grassroots fundraising. So she has more money probably than almost any of them do
so depressing.
On the House side, okay? Now look, I like grassroots fundraising, and she appeals to her grassroots. So I would rather have that than corporations, but in her case, her base is a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? So they push her to do more crazy stuff, and every time she does it, she makes more money. So for her, $100,000 for chapstick ain't that big a deal, okay? So that is actually, now here comes the ironic twist here. That's actually not as bad as other Republicans and other Democrats who raised it from giant multinational corporations and then give it to their campaign arm.
Okay, so before you get to that, I just have to go to this one line in the Politico piece about this story, which I thought was funny, right? So Olivia Beavers, who wrote the Politico piece, writes, Democrats greeted the McCarthy chapstick auction with barely masked alarm. They were alarmed. But like, why are you alarmed?
No, I'm.
Why are Democrats alarmed? I mean, Democrats, maybe they're not engaging in auctions for chapstick, but they certainly engage in the same fundraising.
No, guys, I'm on the warpath. Like, that's sorry, but I come with facts. 90% of the Democratic Party, and I'm being conservative there, it's probably higher, right? But the Justice Democrats do not take corporate PAC money, so they're exempt from this. Of all people, Matt Gaetz does not take corporate PAC money, so he's exempt on the Republican side. But the overwhelming majority of both parties, including, yes, the beloved Democrats, take campaign contributions just like that and give it to their campaign arms of their party just like that, okay? And they all do it because the whole thing is corrupt. All those campaign contributions from corporations are flat out bribes. Corporations are not people, they don't have opinions. They're not doing it for the public good, they are doing it for their bottom line. And they have purchased almost all of our politicians. So when you see a tiny snippet of this, don't be like, oh my God, I didn't know. No, you should be alarmed, not at that particular incident. Which, by the way, of course that incident is absurd. I don't mind you like being angry about it, of course, right? But what I'm telling you is you should be angry at the whole goddamn system because that's what they do 24/7. And for Democrats, corporate Democrats, which is again 90% of the party, to be like, I can't believe she raised money. These reporters don't believe anything. What, you guys raised millions of dollars and then the reporters kiss your ass for it.
Well,
and then I can't believe she gave it to their campaign committee. We do the same thing. Okay, go ahead, reporter, write it credulously like Democrats are holy and angels. And even though we do the same exact thing, and then let's all make fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So look, the Democrats exploited this story in what they probably believe is a strategic way of owning the Republicans here, right? So for instance, let's go to graphic 7, where Representative Velasquez wrote the following: spending $100,000 on chapstick while working overtime to gut the programs that working families rely on, GOP priorities in a nutshell. And what she's referring to, of course, is the debt ceiling. So Democrats gave all sorts of statements to the press about how inappropriate this is as we're quickly approaching the deadline for the debt ceiling, and the GOP is just not cooperating because they want to gut social spending programs. But let's also be honest about that, because Democratic leadership has now made it clear that they're going to aid and abet the Republican effort to gut social spending programs. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's get to Hakeem Jeffries and what we learned about him late last night. So he issued a statement in regard to the Republicans' demands, and here's what he had to say about it. We're willing to discuss freezing spending at current levels. That's an inherently reasonable position many in our party might even be uncomfortable with, but President Biden recognizes we're in a divided government situation. President Biden and Democratic leadership also realizes that the debt ceiling, like they have to raise the debt ceiling. And Republicans Democrats should call their bluff. Republicans are gonna end up raising the debt ceiling, even if Democrats refuse to provide a single concession. And the reason why I say that is because failing to raise the debt ceiling will crash the world economy, and it will financially harm the very lawmakers who are far more interested in engaging in what appears to be insider trading than doing their jobs as legislators. So why are we pretending as if Democrats have no choice? Joe Biden has no choice but to negotiate with Republicans. It's a false premise, and I can't stand it. So look, it's all a game because corporate Democrats are in cahoots. They want to cut social spending programs. And by the way, freezing spending is actually a spending cut when you take into account inflation. So a spending cut would amount to a 5% cut when adjusted for inflation, a step back from the Biden administration budget request in March, which proposed increasing discretionary spending. But by the way, so Democrats have agreed, all right, fine, maybe we freeze spending on defense, defense-related discretionary spending and non-defense discretionary spending. Republicans aren't happy with that. They're not satisfied. They're like, no. We are not satisfied with that. We want to increase defense spending and freeze non-defense discretionary spending, meaning social safety net programs, right? Here's my prediction. Democrats will give them what they want because Democrats also agree with that policy. They just do.
Yeah. So look, I am so sick of the propaganda on all sides. So I wrote about this on social media again earlier today, and what was the reaction that I got from establishment Democrats? They couldn't believe it. They're like, "What are you doing?" No, of course Democrats don't do this kind of campaign contributions.
Right.
And then I was like, oh my God. The people who watch MSNBC, CNN, read New York Times, listen to NPR, they genuinely believe that the Democrats are angels. That when they take campaign contributions, it's out of the goodness of their heart that the corporations gave it to them and that they took it and they never returned the favor. The meanie, evil Republicans return the favor, but Democrats are too holy to do that. That's crazy. You've been brainwashed. No, both sides take the money and do exactly as they are told. And that's not conjecture, guys. We've shown it to you on the show over and over and over again. Not only do we show it to you in the votes and we show you the receipts, here's what the contributions they got and here's how they voted for Republicans and for Democrats, okay? But on top of that, we do predictions ahead of time and tell you, look, politics is super simple. Follow the money. So here, we're gonna tell you exactly how things are gonna turn out, and they always turn out that way. But reporters are like, money? What's money? I don't know, right? That's the thing that corrupts Republicans, but not the beloved angelic Democrats. It's absurd, it's insane. Okay, now let's go to Hakeem Jeffries, last thing. So Look, best case scenario for Hakeem Jeffries is that he's a complete and utter loser. But that's not the reality. The reality is Hakeem Jeffries on economic issues agrees with the Republicans, just as Joe Biden does, just as Nancy Pelosi does. That's why he takes the Republican. Did you hear what he called the Republican position? These lunatic Republicans come in and go, I'm gonna hold the whole economy hostage. I'm gonna hold the country hostage. We didn't do it under Trump, but we're gonna say that we're gonna crash the economy by not lifting the debt ceiling. You don't negotiate with that. The Republicans didn't negotiate with Democrats when Trump was in charge over the debt ceiling. Here's the amount of negotiation that happened under Trump on the debt ceiling. Zero, none, zero. So you return that in kind. If you're a strong Democrat and you actually believe in your positions, you go, no, we're not negotiating. You want us to use the 14th Amendment, we'll use the 14th Amendment. You want us to use executive power, we'll use executive power. We don't give a damn. And by the way, look, the Republicans have the House, so you can't just lift the filibuster like they did last time. Remember, the Democrats lifted the filibuster because they thought it was so important, right? So instead, Hakeem Jeffries calls that insane Republican position, quote, inherently reasonable. Why don't you just go work for them?
Seriously. Inherently
reasonable? You think McCarthy, Marjorie Taylor Greene on policy positions, when they're holding the whole country hostage, they're being inherently reasonable? Nah, they're paid to lose. The donors control the corporate Democrats 100%. So they say, hey, you know what? Have this fake fight over the debt ceiling. And then look at the Republicans. They say, oh, I'm so concerned about the debt, but I want to increase spending.
On defense.
On defense.
Yep.
Well, then you're not concerned about the debt.
Nope.
You're concerned about make sure you take from the average American.
Yep.
If it's going to the average American, take it, take it, take it. And who do we give it to? Defense contractors, super rich billionaire defense contractors who just coincidentally happen to be our donors. And Democrats who also have the same exact donors go, oh golly gee, there was nothing we could do. We had to take it from the average American and give it to our contributors because we're bipartisan and we care about getting along with the Republicans so much. No, it's all theater. Every mainstream media reporter that plays along with this is garbage. They should go get another job. Go be a plumber. That's a noble profession, okay? Go clean the streets. It's a noble profession instead of doing marketing for corporate rule. And these corporate Democrats are disgusting. And don't get me wrong, if it's 90% of the Democratic Party, Republicans don't be like, oh man, we're the good ones. No, your party's 99% corrupt.
100%, what are you talking about?
I'm giving Matt Gaetz credit for not taking corporate PAC money. I can't stand Matt Gaetz, and I need you guys to do nuance. Like when you say, hey, the guy doesn't take corporate PAC money, they go, oh, so you like him? No, I don't like him. I can't. I was literally the only reporter who said to his face, hey, what did you do with that 17-year-old? Okay, so we kick ass for a living, okay? But you have to be honest. So when they don't take corporate PAC money, you have to acknowledge that. And when our side does, just like they do for 99% of the time, you have to acknowledge that. But instead, what do we have? We have tribes. The MSNBC tribe says, nope, we're gonna be hypocrites. If the Democrats do it, it's okay. If the Republicans do it, it's terrible. The Fox News tribe says, oh, when the Republicans are corrupt, it's awesome. And Donald Trump is the king of corruption, and that's the best. He came to drain the swamp and drained it all into his goddamn pockets, and that's awesome. But when the Democrats do it, it's bad. No, they're both lying to you. These guys are all bought. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.